When I built my kitchen cabinet in the tiny house, I wasn't sure what I was going to do on the left side. I thought I was going to put a refrigerator underneath it, but I ended up getting a full-size fridge and putting it out on the screen porch. So now I'm going to close it in with some cabinets. This is going to have a pull-out garbage can, and this is going to have pull-out drawer and 2 drawers just to pull out. And so I just started. I didn't film, I'm sorry. But basically this is pecan. It's the same stuff as I made the other cabinets with. And I cut my stiles and rails. There'll be no stile on this side or rail. I'm not sure what the vertical member is called because I'm going to tie into existing. And then I glued up some clear fur. I'm going to make a pull-out shelf up top just so we can have a little bit more cabinet space. So when this dries, I'll plane it and then glue it together and see how big we'll have a pull-out shelf. I'm gonna go ahead and get out my pocket hole jig and put this together with pocket screws. Pretty simple. All right, yesterday's part of this build was pretty boring. I didn't do much. I planed some boards. I glued up a door. I've got this board for the drawer faces. I glued up the other door. I made the face frame with some pocket screws and let the glue set. And I've got some boards here for the slide out that need to be planed and glued together. And what else did I do? Oh, I took some of this old fur and made the drawer sides. I'd always planned on using drawer glides on these drawers because I had them left over from another project. But the other drawer in the cabinet does not have drawer glides. It just has wooden glides. And if I use wooden glides, it's a little less finicky, and my drawers can be almost an inch wider. So I'm just going to do wooden glides again. So this drawer is going to be, well, they might be the same. It measures 12 3/4 exactly. So I think I can make the drawer like 12 1/2. And this one is the same thing. That'd be nice. 12 1/2. So the total width of the drawer is going to be 12 1/2 out to out. So I got the 2 sides set 12 1/2 apart. So the front piece of the drawer box will be 11 1/2. I need 4 of them, 11 1/2, and I got 2 of them to cut them from, and the mosquitoes buzzing me. Let me spray. So the drawer bottoms, the plywood is easy. I can measure it from I can see the joint here and here and measure that. And the length of the plywood, I measured inside to inside and added double this groove that I cut, and it's a little more than 3/8. So I'm adding 3/4 to the inside measurement. I'm gonna go cut out my 2 plywood bottoms, and I'll be able to put these drawers together. Okay, got them cut. Dry fit is good. Go ahead and glue and keep some little nails in here. It is inherently strong with the plywood bottom and the good joints I got. And Fleet. Home Depot 1/4 inch plywood on the bottom and some nice old growth clear fur for the sides. And they should be the right size. So I guess the next thing to do is go ahead and build the bottom, the platform, and attach the face frame to it. Okay, just made a change. I was thinking this drawer glide would be screwed to the side of the cabinet, but since this is going to be like a big unit that pulls out, and it might be quite heavy and it might be full of cans of food and stuff, if I remember right, the end of this cabinet, this existing cabinet, is thin, maybe 1/4 inch plywood or 6mm plywood. So I was concerned about the strength, so I went ahead and put this here. We can make the face frame overlap more so you won't see it, and the unit might be a little bit smaller because of this, but I think this is going to be important. So I added a brace, made the slide smaller. So the fact that I did not put a style here makes everything super complicated. But I didn't want to because there's already a style there existing and I didn't want to have two of them together. So I stood this board up here, doesn't have much strength. I stood this board up here, doesn't have much strength. This one may move a little bit when I adjust the drawers, but that's okay. What I want is a big wide board across here to have something to attach the drawer glides to. So I'm going to try to go from at least here to here, a big wide one. Now, I cut this short because there's an existing cleat on that wall, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to remove that cleat because it's holding up the top and everything's lovely, so I didn't want to mess with it. So there's a cleat on the existing wall that's going to come right over the top of this, and that's cool. That doesn't hurt anything. So I'm going to cut this piece of plywood to go across the back, and it's all woppy. We got to get it straight before I screw it, and I guess I'll probably glue it too so it can be strong. Okay. Should be 31 3/8. Yes. Well, I said I was going to glue that and I didn't, but it will be screwed to the wall once the carcass is installed. Now, if I put a board here, that will be the bottom glide for the drawer. If I put a board here, that'd be the top glide for the drawer. These two glides I can put in and maybe get this twist out of here. Maybe. Or maybe I'll start from the other end where it's more square. Anyway, okay, so we can now do our drawer glides. So these are my drawer glides, or drawer, what the drawer is going to slide in. It's just a piece of plywood for the structure and a scrap of fur for the top and bottom support. And I'm leaning the nail gun over because the nails are just a tad long and they might go through if I shoot them straight. This piece of plywood is cut the right length to keep the drawer glide sides parallel with the opening in the front. All right, let's go see if it'll work. Okay, no nails or screws yet, but it's in there, and the drawer guides fit well. This is the flexible plate, this white plywood, so when the drawer is finished and the drawer face is on, I can slide that around to make the drawer shut better. Shouldn't be a problem. It is a little sloppy. I kind of wish I'd have made it tighter. So I think I'm gonna probably glue some little strips down each side, like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, and maybe one on each bottom, kind of tighten it up a little bit. It's a little bit too hang doggy. I'm gonna tighten it up a little bit, but that's no big deal. Otherwise, I'll probably go ahead and shoot it in there. and put a screw in the back so the back can be moved. The front won't move. So I have added wear strips on the bottom, or not wear strips, it's fillers, and some wear strips on the side. And I know it's kind of gnarly looking, but it's a really, really hard wood. And the drawer slides perfectly, even without wax. However, if you look close, this is probably a little exaggerated. If you look closely, the top is out more than the bottom, and this side is out more than this side a lot. So I've got the back in place just with a couple of screws. I'm gonna pop those screws out and wiggle it around until the face of this thing fits as perfect as I can get it. Obviously I can get it better than it is. So let's get the drill, pull those screws. And I need to go down a little bit. Okay, now the drawer front is perfect. Well, as perfect as I ever get. So I just need to pull the drawer out and sink those screws in the back, and that's all there is to it. Time to start the pull out for the garbage can. So these are the drawer slides. This is going to be on ball bearing slides, not like the drawers, because this is going to be kind of heavy, and I had this slide, so it was a no-brainer. So these are 20-inch, but I think I can make the drawer bottom 22.5, kind of maximize my reach. So I'm gonna have two sides like this, a plywood bottom, a half a plywood front, and a half a plywood back, and hopefully it'll be strong enough. So I'm gonna cut these 22.5, and then I need to put one on each side and measure for the plywood bottom, and it needs to be pretty doggone accurate because these ball bearing glides, they don't have a lot of play in them. They like for things to be correct. I got the bottom cut what I thought was right, but when I put it in there, it's kind of snug, and I don't want the drawer to like drag when you pull it out. So I'm gonna cut another 1/16 off of the width and see what happens. All right, I think I got it now. Can't really be too loose because I can always shim out the ball bearing guides, but if it's snug, you can't do anything about that. So I didn't want it that way. So I'm ready to put this thing together. No fancy joinery. I'm just going to glue it and nail it, and put ends on it and put some sides on it. It's just a little box. Put the garbage can in. Put this side up, this side back. Yep. Put some glue and nail it up. Okay, the bottom, the tray part, is perfect. Now I'm going to make a front and a back out of this piece of wood, and then we'll put, I'll take this piece of wood and put two sides. It just needs to have something to keep the garbage can from tumbling over. And then it'll be ready for sanding and painting. And all this gets painted except for the face frame and the door front. So I'm using all kind of leftover wood, which is great because I love using scraps from the shop. So let's cut this in half and then cut the edges off because it's got this lap joint. And yeah, progress, man. So structurally it's finished. I'm gonna put another strip here to close this in, and I gotta sand it and paint it and everything and put the drawer glides on. But this is the real important test. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's gonna be much nicer than what we have now. Yep. Good stuff. And I really messed up. I intended to cut this top off in order to have that sliding board slide in and out, the one I glued up or started on it, but I forgot. And now, so not only do I have to cut this in place with a skill saw, which is not as easy as the table saw, I also have to cut those two middle drawer glides down in place because they're nailed and they're not coming out. So yeah, a little boo-boo. It doesn't matter what the top of those looks like, but this Top of this needs to be pretty good, although I could put a trim on it. So anyway, yeah, that's a boo-boo. Shouldn't have done that. All right, so I have room for my 2 drawer glides. Of course, one will be on the other side. My 2 sides and my bottom, and I got just a little bit of wiggle room. So I think I've got this ripped the right width. So I'm gonna put this together just exactly like I put the other one together. Wish I had some more nice plywood like this. I'm almost out. Okay, so the 2 slide outs are complete. They're basically the same. One just has a hole in the top for a trash can, and one has an extra shelf on top. So before I start anything else, as in trying to get this slide to work, well, I gotta make the slide first. I'm gonna go ahead and sand these and get some paint going on them, because it probably take a couple of coats. We'll get started on it now. And I'll use my new Bosch sander, which I'm not sure if I like it or not. It doesn't have a lot of power, but it seems to have a pretty good dust collector. This is my rigid. It died. I'm sure I could buy a bearing and get it going again, but I never did like it because the dust bag did nothing. Never would fill up, never. So it was a little disappointing. So I cut the cord off and threw it away. Tried a new sander. We're just gonna sand it to like 100 grit because we're gonna put a couple of coats of latex paint on here, on both of these. And I don't think I have to paint the inside of the Carcass because I don't think it ever shows. I think when you pull out the drawer, it hides it, so that'll save me some work. I will varnish these face frames. And I'm not gonna video this. Nobody wants to watch somebody sand. Good grief. Okay, good morning, Sunday morning. Yesterday, I put a coat of primer on the 2 pullouts. And this morning, I put some spackle in all the holes. And I'm gonna sand that in a second and put a coat of paint on those. I'm trying to do semi-quiet work because it's Sunday morning. I did use the table saw and cut these 2 pieces and did this filler. And I set this drawer in place and adjusted the, I can adjust one slide, the far slide, but I can't adjust this one. But anyway, I got lucky and it seems to fit really good. So that's done. Now these drawers could be varnished. I can paint them, but it's easier to varnish them because one good coat of varnish on a drawer usually does fine. The rest of the Carcass, this will be varnished, the face frame, but the inside, none of it will ever show. So I'm not gonna mess with it, but I am gonna hit this with some 150 grit on my new little random orbital, which I think I like, although the dust collection is not that great, and get a coat of paint on these and let some time pass. So got a coat of oil-based paint on the slides. It could use another coat, but this is a cabin in the woods, so I think this is gonna be it. When this dries, we'll install the drawer hardware. And I'm fixing to run these 2 boards through the planer, which is a big no-no. Never ever run paint through a planer because it's not good for the knives. But my knives are done. I've had this a bunch of years. I use a lot of old material. It has dirt in it and whatever, so my blades have gotten dull and nicked, and I've rotated them. You can rotate them 4 times. They've all been done that. And some of them I replaced, and the replacements are a little bit different size than the other ones, so I'm due a whole new set. So I'm gonna go ahead and run these boards through here and save me some sanding. It sure is easier than sanding. Okay, thanks to the fact that it's about a bajillion degrees out here and the sun is hammering, my oil-based paint from 2 hours ago is set. So I'm gonna set these drawers. or pullouts, or whatever you want to call them. So I can measure my door width. And I have these glued up. I can cut them to width and then plane them. So this is 12 3/4 exactly. So it needs to be 3/4 bigger than that, which makes this one 13 1/2. And this one needs to be 13 1/2. They're both 13 1/2 wide. I don't know the height yet because I want to match the doors that are already up. So David's supposed to call me a dimension today, but I can rip them 13 1/2 just to make it easier to plane them. This is the board I was going to make the drawer fronts out of, and I don't know the exact width. I've made it a little bit wide just so I don't have to plane all this extra stuff that I'm not going to use. So I'm going to plane the two fronts and the drawer front, and the thickness doesn't make that much difference. I just want them all the same. You know, 3/4 is standard, but if it's a little thicker, it really don't make any difference. But I do want to get all this nastiness off and get them all three the same thickness. All right, playing down to just a tad over 3/4. Nobody's sleeping in this neighborhood anymore. Boy, that was loud. And now I'm going to, I can't cut them to size and do the edges yet, but I can finish the face. I can belt sand them, you know, maybe even put a coat of varnish on both flat surfaces, or maybe at least one flat surface. And I do need to varnish the drawers, so maybe I could do those together. But I'm gonna sand the faces and see what happens next. Probably put a varnish on the two faces. Probably what I'm gonna do. I kind of had it in my mind, since these doors and this drawer fronts are going to be right next to the existing, that I wanted to get them the same dimensions to make sure they all lined up. But I was forgetting that had a slide out on the top of this little carcass, so they don't line up. They're all different. So I could go ahead and do the whole thing, and I wasn't waiting on the dimensions anymore. When I put this varnish on these pieces of pecan, I knew something didn't look right. So I went back and watched the video of when I built the cabinets for the tiny house 2 years ago or so. And yeah, I know why. I had put some stain on that wood. I made it darker. So no big deal over here because this is the back. So I'll put some stain on the front. Now these face frames, I'm gonna have to sand this varnish off for it to stain. I don't think it'll be hard, but it's not quite hard yet because I just stained it an hour ago. So yeah, caught myself. I'm glad I didn't put 4 coats of varnish on there and then get out there and have a different color. Anyway, we're gonna, I'm gonna put the drawer hardware, the drawer glides in. I'm gonna set them back 3/8 of an inch from the face of the face frame because the doors are 3/4 and they're gonna have a 3/4 recess. So I want the hardware to come to the door, so I'm gonna mark 3/8. I don't know if did I say 3/4? I want to set it 3/8 back on all of them. Okay, so this is not hard. Just put the glide, the front edge. I'm not sure what all you can see. This front edge on my 3/8 mark, and I'm gonna screw it. So in order to do that, we got to open the glide a little bit and get to one hole. That'll get it started. Look at that. And then we need to open this all the way. I'm going to put 2 more. Get one here. And get one up front. Okay. Same thing on this side. I'm sure there's like 100 different ways to set things with these drawer glides. This is what I'm doing. I cut a strip 1/4 inch thick, broken in half, so both sides are the same height. Pull the drawer guide out a little bit. I'm gonna set the drawer in there. Okay, I put my 3/8 mark right there. Does that show? Should. Yeah. Now I'm gonna put a screw on both sides. I'm gonna pull out a little more, put another screw, and again I'm gonna put 3 screws on each side. Okay. Next hole is right here. Right, and the next hole is where? And on the side. And now we remove the strips. It is not correct. It is flush. I need the drawer to be back 3/8, so I guess I need this to be right at the end of the drawer. So, okay, we'll do it again. Put my little strips back under there. Go out. Got 3 screws. Pull this out here and do it. Stop record. Now we got it. This is self-closing, so it kind of grabs right there and pulls it in. Sweet. Full opening, so you can get the can out without problem. I like it. Okay, same thing here. Same thing here. Set the drawer on 2. Well, I got to put the glides in first. Oh yeah. Now one issue that could rear its ugly head, if I do need to rack that back around to make this fit with the Carcass once it's installed, I have to take the drawer glides off because they cover up my pocket holes. That's not that big a deal actually, but I tried my best to get this square before I put those pocket screws in, so maybe we'll be all right. It's a new day, and I got my doors and my drawer fronts cut to size, which is basically 3/4 of an inch bigger than the hole. So I got my router bit set up to get the round over on all 4 edges of all 4 panels, and then I'm gonna cut a groove in the back. I got the table saw set up so it will leave 3/8 of an inch plus a little bitty bit, and it'll cut 3/8 of an inch deep plus a little bitty bit. I just need to run the good side toward the fence, and this is my scrap, and I did it wrong. I'm gonna put the remember I varnished it without putting a stain, so I'm gonna use the unstained side as the good side, and the varnish side is the back. So I'm gonna do again all 4 of these, all 4 sides. So now I've set the height of the blade to just barely touch the bottom there. You can see where it's kind of touching it, and I set the fence to line up with the bottom of this cut I made previously. So I'm gonna do all of those and remove this little piece of wood that comes out. So with that cut all the way around, we have a drawer face that will fit into the hole. You need to get it centered very accurately. So I just need to get it centered accurately, and I'll probably shoot a couple of nails from the back because I can to hold it in place, and then we'll put some screws in it. It needs to be strong. Before I fasten them, I'm going to do a lot of sanding and some staining. So let's get the other drawer face, and let's see how the faces for the sliders work. Pull out fronts, fit great, no problem. You've got a little crack around the perimeter. That's what I wanted. So it's time to get the sander out and get some finish on these before I attach them to the slides and the drawers. That was nice and uneventful. I think this is the stain I used because it's the only stain I have. So I guess I should try this one first. got a special sock here. I don't know. I think that's good enough. I think that's close. This didn't come out very pretty because this isn't sanded. This is sanded well, so it makes a big difference when you put stain on. Drawer fronts clamped into place where I think they should go. I'm going to put 2 little screws from the back into the drawer front, and then I can take the clamp off, and then I can make sure they're in the right spot. And if they are, then I can take them apart, put some glue, and use the screws to locate where they go, and clamp them up tight, and that'll be done. I'm gonna do pretty much the same thing down here. Put the drawers where I think, put the fronts where I think they should go. I won't be able to clamp them. I'll just have to hold them in place and put some screws on the back. Check them out. If they're good, take them off, glue them, clamp them, and only thing that'll be left is the finishing, except for the slide at the top. Well, I screwed them, but thankfully I did not glue them because I had to move them once I got them in place out there at the country. So sometimes things work out. Okay, we got 2 good fittages. So the drawers are done except for what? Finishing and attaching the fronts permanently and putting hardware on there, which I have. Let's try the big ones. This is harder, or could be harder. All right, the 2 fronts are on. This one is screwed into place and it fits pretty good side to side and up and down. Got a crack at the bottom, which means I could fix it by raising this. But to get to this, I need to undo the pocket screws and the slide is in the way. So, I don't know. What else might have happened is the whole carcass might be leaning forward. I think what I'm gonna do is nothing, because when I put it into place, I need to get this to line up and this to line up and this to line up with the existing. And then I'll take a look at it, and if I have to, I can pop those screws out and raise this. Just put a little wedge is all it'll take. This one's not as bad, but it's the same thing. Or I can unscrew it and put a little shim between here and here. Ooh, that'd be a lot easier. I don't know. For right now, I'm gonna go ahead and screw that one on with 4 screws. But while I was messing with screws in the drill, I went ahead and laid out the handle hardware holes. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill them and get that over with. And I put blue tape on there just because I can't see the pencil mark on wood. Blue tape just makes it easier to see the marks. I bet you didn't know that electrical pliers do this. They have tapped holes. Well, this one has just 2, but my other one has like 4 different sizes. So you screw the screw you want to cut through the tapped hole into the plain hole, not the other way around. And then with much force, you break the screw. Okay, and then when you unscrew it, it fixes the thread that you just smashed so that you can use them. Pretty cool, man. So hardware's on, everything's copacetic. I'm gonna take the pullouts and the drawers out, take the hardware back off, give them a light sanding, put another coat of varnish on, because it's supposed to start raining this afternoon for 2 days. Maybe I'll have a chance for it to dry before it starts raining. And I don't usually like to do carpentry while I got wet varnish in the room, but that's gonna be the way it is. And I'll start working on that slide up top. Okay, I jointed these 2 edges so they fit good, well. And I was thinking this whole thing was gonna be too wide, but I might try to use the whole thing. So anyway, I'm gonna glue it together and then I'll be stuck for an hour or so. But yeah, this is pretty stuff. This is old, clear fir from the West Coast. Okay, so our pull-out shelf has been clamped for a couple hours. Let's get the clamps off and see what we can do with this thing. Okay, we are cut to length. Now I have to cut the face frame, which I should have done before on the table saw, but I didn't. So I decided rather than trying to cut out a notch for the slide, I'm just going to rip this all the way off and glue a little piece back on each end. I think I can do that neater than trying to cut that notch. Oh, that cut was terrible. It's all curvy and everything. And then I tried to cut this one with the jigsaw. It doesn't work because the blade hammers into this other one. So now I got the multi-master. See how bad we can booger this up. So we just need to mark this one at 35.5 inches off of the deck. And cut it and glue it. And actually it's fitting pretty good. This one doesn't fit too good. I'm gonna have to do some fitting and then the same thing. 35.5 inches off the deck. Glue it and nail it. So with a straight edge and a couple of passes with this little bit, I don't know what you call that. I made like a little finger grip. This is the bottom. Flip it over so you can reach it and grab it. I don't know if I've ever used that bit before. It did pretty good. Pretty sure this is the funkiest looking little cabinet work I've ever done in my life. Maybe anything that's been done in this city, but hopefully it'll work. So the slide out, which I hope people don't confuse for cutting board, because it was never intended to be a cutting board. It does real well. I put a piece of formica here to slide the outside, the bottom on. Now, as you slide this out, when it gets to the tipping point, it's going to start rubbing on the top, and the top will be supported. So like the drawers, I don't want it to be all hang-doggy if there's too much slack. So I'm going to bring some different strips and put them in place. It may need one coat of formica, it might need 3 layers of formica just to get it to where it stands out pretty stiff. And then I'll have to screw a block on the bottom to keep it from being pulled all the way out. So, but anyway, it looks good. It's not a cutting board, it's just a little extra space in a teeny little kitchen, maybe to make sandwiches on or something. And I'm done. I need to bring it and install it and bring some shims with me, some screws with me, maybe the multi-master just in case. And we're gonna go to the country tomorrow and put it in place. Well, here we go. Let's see if it's gonna fit. And it is pretty snug, pretty snug. But I think it'll go. It's a little snugger than I would like to see. It's on in a little bit. Boy, I hope I don't have to try to get it out, because it is pretty freaking tight. So except for having to bow the camper wall out just a little bit, the fit was perfect. It just slid right in there. You know, I don't really have to worry about screwing it in place because it's a little on the snug side. Okay, it is in. And because I made a slot up here for the slider, the styles don't line up. I didn't really think about that, but that's okay. The line up pretty good here. The stain is a little bit lighter, but other than that, I'm pretty freaking happy. Now let's put the slide in and see if it fits. I don't want to screw it to the wall yet because, well, actually, there is no adjustment. I might as well screw it in, at least this top part. So I'll screw from the white plywood through into this, and that should hold it steady, like it's not going anywhere anyway. So the pull-out shelf does great, but it pries up the top because this has never been fastened down. So I'm gonna have to fasten it down, and I think I have enough room to glue that Formica on top to make it slide easier. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna glue the Formica, and then I'm gonna figure out how to screw that top down, which I wasn't planning on having to do, but I'll figure out something. And then, yeah, so that's the first step. Okay, digging around my junk I have here, I found a pair of screws that will work. I found the right bit tip to drive them, and a drill bit to pre-drill. And I'm going to drill straight up through this glue block and the drawer slide and into the top to hold the top down. Probably if I had a longer one I could drill up through here. Yeah, I may do this. I may put one here also and drill it at an angle. I'm kind of scared it'll poke through. It's like borderline, but if I go at an angle it might be good. So maybe I'll get 3 screws in here, keep it from uplifting. So I'm playing around here, and I actually have 2 layers of Formica. I just taped it on there, but I'm going to go ahead and glue it because it works fine, and it keeps it from sagging a little bit. And then I think that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm gonna it's done and it's good, and that was a pain in the rear. The slide up here went in without issue. The little drawers went in good. I did have to glue a strip to the edge of the existing cabinet to take some of the play out of this one, but they work great. But when I went to put these in, apparently I was trying to push it into the wrong, can't really see from here, into the wrong slot. It's kind of hard to see, and I bent the little whatever you call it, the train track with all the little ball bearings in it, and it got stuck. Well, I finally got it out, and 6 of the ball bearings fell out. So I tried to straighten what I had bent, and I did it over and over again, and every time it would bend again because I was pushing it in the wrong slot and I didn't understand. When I got my act together and got it in the right slot, by that time the little track was so crumpled on the end that I ended up just having to take a bearing out of each one on the very end, and then do my little adjustments. I got to go get a bigger garbage can later on. And then probably when I jam this thing in here, it's racked more than it was at home. Now maybe it's right now, maybe it was right then, I don't know. But I had to take the faces off of these 2 and switch the faces over because it was hitting in the corner. Anyway, it's all good now. It's done. I'm happy with it. This door could use a little more adjustment, but I think I'm done. Pretty happy with it. Makes our kitchen a little more complete, and everything works. And I'm gonna clean up my mess and do something else. So probably not a video that you could learn anything from, but I hope you watched it. I hope you enjoyed it, and give me a like. Thanks for watching.